All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Space Brothers, episode 49. Cardio.
Cardio.
Sunshine.
In the desert.
Heat.
Scorpions.
Yay.
Hey, Serica's there at least.
Serica is there.
I mean, if you are doing a crazy long, trail trek, but you've got your crush, like, walking alongside you.
Oh, no, yeah.
And she's eager to talk with you and hang out, and you're both passionate about this
No,
thing there.
boner power
like,
is
you got
something.
the boner power, like, taking you forward.
The boner power will do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
we're starting the video off proper here.
That's right. Like,
yeah, y'all in the comments can sound off. Like, have you ever been in one of those situations where you're like, oh, I don't really want to do this thing. Crush walks by, and you're like, I'm going to do this thing.
well,
you're like,
or just,
right.
oh, I didn't get very much sleep last night. Oh, but I do need to wake up. Well, there is one way I could wake myself up real quick. Generally feel energized and,
God.
ready for the day.
Oh my gosh. That's just biological. That is not your choice. That's just, oh my goodness. Well, that being said, Space Brothers.
Yeah.
We are on Vincent Bold's Go at Things 25% Faster.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Kind of curricula here. Going into this whole ASCAN group or what have you, with people from around the world.
Yep.
It's awesome, it's exciting, but getting dropped straight into survival training is kind of rough. That's nasty.
It is nasty, but at the same time, I very much believe in front loading the difficulty, right?
I agree.
They get through this, they'll be like, all right, yeah. Like,
I get to sit in an air-conditioned room and take tests for 6 hours. That's
Exactly.
great. I love that. I love that.
Right.
That sounds wonderful.
In a lot of ways, I get the feeling that with his whole idea of trimming the fat, it's if I give them this intense stuff first, then when I make things intense in a different way later, they'll be more ready for it.
Sure.
Because they just sort of had to deal when this is the first thing that they have to do. And then later it's let's do a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently where they're going has synergy with what Larry Bison is going to be doing next.
Right, because at least it's
fun.
in the same location. All right, cool. But
yeah.
hopefully they don't get lost. That would be bad. I get the feeling that's not going to be a conflict.
I think that's not possible because the advisors are there with them. Now, it could also be a thing where the advisors are just there to follow and make sure nobody dies or has heat stroke or what have you.
Because the main thing that we were told about them having is a map.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're following the map.
But you could totally go off track with a map.
Yeah, especially if you're
no
forced
GPS.
to basically, by the advisors, have one person at a time being the sole map leader holder and everything as well. Then
Absolutely.
You're going off of that person's interpretation of the map.
Right, constantly changing and all that stuff. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am interested to see how the communication struggles come up within this team here.
Yeah.
But given that they all know each other, other than, Amonte coming into the group later, I love that the teams also are basically just our crew,
Yep.
So that's going to be fun.
That's also a good way to just introduce the new characters like one at a time, because it's
Slowly,
hey, here you go. You don't have to deal with all of the people that are at NASA.
Yeah. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this.
厳しいな。いや、でもまだ大丈夫なはず。あのサボテンがチュロスとかに見えて。
That's fantastic.
That's amazing. She's going to find it first because she's got that food sniffing. I got it! Drink cactus juice. It'll quench you. Nothing's quenchier.
It's the quenchiest. That is a good point, though. If they just have a map and they have to find their food every night, that sounds like hell.
Nice. Okay, so it was covered a bit.
Oh!
Sure, and that means then there's kind of a landmark to look for.
我ながら鋭い嗅覚。食べ物に関しては。
It's gonna be MRE's watch.
オリオンやソユーズで帰還する際、着地地点を大きくずれて遭難してしまうことが稀にある。
Okay.
Good foresight. Yeah.
もう一つは
Bon
チーム
appetit.
ワークの理解を高めること。
Yeah, in a lot of ways, your teamwork, your team building in the pods is going to come in like clutch here.
早くムッドにこの日本語 T シャツ見せたいな。
They have to be filming them at all times. So if he does it on camera, then he'll get in trouble.
今回のチーム分けにしてもね、適当なのか考え抜いてのことなのかどっちかよ。
He explained his rationale, right?
It was just to efficiently have the teams made quickly. Like,
Well, and also make it so that there isn't as much of a language barrier.
yeah,
方が面白いと思わん？
no. He's like, are you fucking stupid? Like,
How many of those juice things do you need?
1960年代加速的に宇宙開発が進歩したのは常に旧ソ連とアメリカが
true,
Okay.
true.
足が動かねえよ。足棒だ足棒。
まだ初日だぞ。
Uh-oh.
5チーム中お前らいい班は歩行距離 11.2 キロポッチ
Wow, that's not a lot, actually.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
really isn't a lot.
俺のミスだ。
8 miles.
後半あれだけ
basically.
ペースを上げたってのに。
Yeah, 8 miles in a day is real bad.
訓練教官のビンスさんから最下位のいい班にペナルティが出された
Oh.
以外の5人のうち1人だけに罰を受けてもらうぜ
Not the leader, though. Interesting.
Huh.
So is it random?
なんでリーダー以外なんだ。
I'll roll a
誰か自
d4.
ら罰を受けるってや
Oh, sure. Someone can volunteer for it. Yeah.
と言って俺を罰していたぞ
まだ誰も聞いてないこと。
No one wanted. Who asked?
やるよ。ど
Yeah.
んな罰かは知らねえが、俺が実験。
You're the best, Muta.
まだ体力のあるうちにやっとこ
俺の親父は自他ともに認める気難し屋なんだ
Bro, you need to go to therapy.
ジャスト1時間気を
Oh.
つけの姿勢を保った
So you just don't get to sleep or anything.
う。あれなんだこれ。
Yeah, you'd start to lose balance. Yeah.
あったな。
Yeah,
こいつ
your
は意
legs
外
are
ときつ
tired,
い。
yeah.
いやかなりきつい。
Right, you just walked the 11 kilometers. Yeah. Oh, dang. So they got little blankets in their packs and stuff. Okay.
Okay.
リーダーを買って出た検事はやっぱ
Yeah, he is.
さすがだ。
Yeah, take heart in that. That's your natural desire to, like, help and serve others, you know? Stars?
Oh, yeah, the star's gonna be beautiful out here.
Yeah, that's another reason why they go out to the desert. You get the best night skies ever.
Oh, yeah.
No light pollution of any kind. This is your vision of the future.
This is where
You'll
you're
be
going.
among these stars.
Yeah.
次は荒涼とした砂漠で、空には満天の星。
It's even more gorgeous than this. Like, this is not even doing
Yeah.
it justice.
Right.
You can go and look online and even see photos.
And the photos don't do it justice.
the photos
but
don't do it justice.
But it's something.
眺めこそがこの訓練の本当の意図かもしれない。
Or maybe the reward in a lot of ways is just to
Yeah.
be able to see. What? No, don't immediate res us like immediately. Oh my god.
Wow.
Space Brothers, sometimes I have to wonder if it's the adaptation or,
Yeah,
like,
or-
actually like it's a new chapter. And
Right. No wonder they only went 11 kilometers the previous day.
サバイバル訓練が始まって、
Oh, fourth day already. Okay.
35キロ歩いたよ
Halfway.
もう半分だ
For the fourth day, that's not great, though.
That's not great, no.
That's bad.
Careful with the water.
まだ半分か。
Oh, legs giving out. Yeah.
大丈夫。ごめん。ちょっとつまずいただけ。
Yeah, start to get tired, and then you end up being kind of clumsy.
Nitta's just soldiering right along.
Walk a lonely road.
I mean, I knew he was a freaking JoJo character.
Yeah.
この A 班とは4キロ以上差があることを伝えてください。
4 whole kilometers.
いい班はまだ。
That's one thing that's hopeful.
もしもし。
Bro got that solar powered cell phone or
Right.
something.
Satellite phone or something.
電話してやがる。
He's like, well, if we're taking a break, then
Yep.
ねえレイちゃんあんまり強い言い方しないでね
oh, it's gonna be a tough conversation. Like,
Yep.
でないとあの子
Oh,
yeah,
shut in.
yeah, I think it's a shut in. Yeah,
違うから。今は
You just demonstrated that, in fact.
Whereas Muta apparently is going to be the one that loses his temper.
Right.
ここではまだテントを張らず、食料を担いで先へ進もうと思う。
マジかよ。無理じゃね？
We'll split it up into packs. Yeah, yeah.
リーダーを見て思ったんだよ。休憩が多いし、長い。
Although,
この30人のアスキャンの中で、誰より早く宇宙に行きたいんだよ。
Yeah.
みんなは NASA の現役宇宙飛行士を見てて、不思議に。なあ、ナンバー。お前の優秀な弟がそうだろ。
Yeah.
3、4年でいけるものといけないもの。何の違いでそれが決まんのかは。
But this kind of stuff could be part of it. In fact, it most likely is. Like,
right.
リーダーの決断なんだから従ってもらうぜ。ナンバーヒビトに勝ちたいだろ。なあ、お兄ちゃん。
yeah. Oh.
すっげえな。日々とは関係ねえだろ。
He's not saying it as a.
いいのか？
Oh.
Alright.
This has been a while.
何すんだってめえ！
違うって。あれ見ろ。
Oh. Oh.
Oh, shit.
Oh. We would have heard the rattling long before we saw this thing.
Yeah, especially for one that big.
乗るなよ。ガラガラヘビだ。
Bro's gonna just whip out his gun.
This is Texas after all. Bang, bang, bang.
Or bro whips out a shovel.
Sure.
I mean, he's more... It's better to be respectful of life. Let this thing just pass. It's scared of them.
言ったか。この先は今みたいな毒ヘビもだが、コヨーテまで出てくるからな。
Oh.
そろそろリーダーに渡しとくぜ。
Oh.
持ってろ。
Oh, shit.
Where are these exchange students from? Texas.
Texas. We were kidding kind of with the gun. But instead it's the like, nah.
Here you go. You ever used one of these things? All right, let me show you.
サバイバル訓練5日目。
Day 5, who's the leader?
リーダーは私
Okay, yeah. It's your
Alright.
turn.
みんなの命を守るための拳銃を持たされる羽目に。
Okay.
Hey, you always wore the cowboy hat.
についてくれや。3位まで上げてやるぜ。
Alright.
他の踏ん張り作戦が功を奏し、私たちは4位に浮上。
Alright.
Whoa.
に済んだせいか。
That built their motivation. Yeah.
いける。今日3位まで上がっておけば、明日1位になるのも可能だ。
Yeah, especially if teams are having that actual like issue where they did sprint at the beginning, now they're slowing down.
Yep.
And obviously not literally sprinting, but you get what I'm saying. Their pace was a bit fast in the beginning.
Well, but one of the other things I was thinking of, if the meal deposits, the food deposits are at set distances,
Yeah.
then the only way you would have changes in rankings or any relative rankings at all is if you go further than your meal spot.
Right. But no, that I'm talking about time as well. Like
No, right. But as far as like for a day, right? If you just go to your meal spot and then rest.
レイジさんが。
Is he getting his call? He's getting a phone call, isn't he?
ごめん。みんな。
Did you lose something?
俺、戻るわ。
No way. You left your phone behind?
No. Maybe he's out of signal range and he's like
I guess.
like he lost signal and he's like, I need to be there for that phone call.
Right. Okay.
I don't think he'd be dumb enough to leave his phone somewhere.
So if it's a signal thing, then he could just be like, all right, we keep going, hope that we get into another signal spot. Once he does, he calls his mom and is like, hey, by the way, let my brother know.
But they don't have a guarantee of signal getting back anytime soon.
No, totally.
And if it's something where like every hour matters, you know, like...
Yeah. But also, Nitta, you guys have been averaging like a mile an hour every day. If you're assuming an 8-hour like day of walking, you'll be able to catch up to him. Like, you know, if you can find him, right?
Maybe they are older. Mm-hmm. But like,
Yeah, even with the packs, like
averaging a mile an hour is really slow.
And that's if they're walking 8 hours a day, which
they
means
were taking breaks.
No, totally.
To be fair.
But an 8-hour day would also allow for 8 hours of downtime besides sleeping.
All right, so they are struggling right now.
Okay.
It is a lot harder than they expected. They are making extremely slow time.
Yes.
Despite even what we expected with regards to the difficulty of this. But now we have a complication that Nitta has to go back. We don't know why.
It's probably the phone to some...
It has something to do with the phone call, the not little brother.
Right.
Yeah, and we had revealed basically that the mom specifically was begging Nitta to be kind, be soft, don't get angry and yell at him.
Right.
Which is interesting because what that implies basically is that Nitta had a little bit of a anger management issue and he was younger.
I mean, with eyebrows like that.
I'd be terrified of Nitta too if those eyebrows turned into like this.
Just in any way furrowed, yeah.
Bro, I don't think I can look that angry and scary at all without people being like, like, I think it would have to be entirely in my voice, like, or something like that. I am not an intimidating person in the slightest bit. But, okay, there's some fun personal stuff we're going to be getting with this experience and Nitta, and I'm excited for that.
Yep.
But, by the by, having the decision to time skip through 3 of the days of travel, I respect that.
Yeah.
Space Brothers has had primarily a lot of pacing issues with the story, if there are really any issues with the story. And it's just probably a combination of adaptation or also just trying to keep things as grounded and realistic so that we see a lot of that minutia.
Show all of the process, or at least show how crazy arduous the process is. Yeah.
Right. So having the option to skip through 3 of these when we have 6 days to go through...
Cool.
Yeah, then we can show the more impactful, intense final 3 days.
Right.
And that's going to be a little bit more fun. But, okay, the punishment for being in last place is there to kind of have them all be motivated to not get the punishment so that they all push each other to exceed just what they would have generally put in. Because maybe the other point is that they were given enough time that everybody should be able to complete this.
Right.
But it's will you actually be pushing yourself if you look at the goal ahead and you go, oh, we can do that. So, we don't have to, we can kind of walk a little bit. We can do sub 1 mile per hour average pace.
Because if like, okay.
Get into some math here.
Yeah. 11 kilometers in the first day. If they do 8 hours, that's not even 1.5 kilometers a day. That's less than a mile.
You mean 1.5 kilometers an hour?
An hour, yeah. That's less than a mile an hour.
Like, to put things in perspective, if you assume a 2-foot stride, like a 2-foot
right.
stride.
Like most maps apps will assume like a 2 mile an hour walking speed, which would then mean 4 of those hours you're not walking
at all.
So you're only walking 4 hours out of the day.
Yeah.
Most people can do much more than 2 miles an hour. 3 miles an hour is not hard.
And with breaks, with regular breaks, like every 60 to 90 minutes, of like 5 to 10 minutes or what have you, you can extend that a lot more. And now, obviously, there's heat to consider.
Oh, yeah.
There's
the packs, which would affect things.
There's the packs and everything.
But one of the other things that I was kind of curious about is if they were generally like stopping for the day when they reach, at the very least, their dinner food cache. There might be a lunch cache or something like that, so they get their 3 squares a day or something. Who knows, right? But unless the caches are at different distances, then that kind of would imply that if everyone stops when they get to their evening meal cache, then they're all going the same distance in a day.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what the ranking is. The ranking is at what time they get to those specific spots.
Sure.
There's the idea that obviously some of them are going to be literal kilometers ahead, but it's the other part of, if everyone stops at the same, pace there or what have you.
And the only thing that's left is time that it took them to get there.
So it has to have some factor there as well.
Right. But yeah, the idea that because that also, that gives you a very easy way to get ahead of other people, because then if it's oh no, we actually ended up going farther because we took the food out of the the case and put it in our packs, and then
abandoned the case and just kept going.
Yeah, walked for just another hour.
It's just cans and MREs and jugs of water. So
like fantastic. Oh, you have to load up with more water. I think you'll make it work. Right?
I think you'll make it work because you have bottles that you can just dispense it into as well. So you can even abandon the jug and put that in the box and throw that in the back of the truck.
Yeah, and if there's extra, drink the extra before you, keep going or whatever, right? Have a nice little break, right? Mm-hmm. So I like it. They're moving. But
they're not moving fast.
But they're not moving. They are not moving fast.
And they're not even moving slow. They're moving like snail slow.
Snail slow.
Yeah. Now, I might not have a full understanding of how oppressive the heat aspect is. And I think that's the part that I'm not factoring into my general calculations of what should be possible here. Because if the heat goes to, let's say, above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, that is not just oppressive heat. That's like steal your breath heat. And there's a point when you're breathing heavily in cold weather that you can feel the pain in your throat.
Sure.
Because it's actually just cold. But when you have it really hot and you're breathing heavily, you can feel a heated pain in your throat.
Yeah.
And that can be devastating for your breath just in general.
While I have a lot of experience with if it even though people say it as a joke, right? Oh, it's a dry heat. If it is a dry 100 is totally manageable if you have enough water, right?
But I know, but then they're wearing the packs and they're wearing the packs and everything, and outfits and everything.
Yeah, that might be something where it makes it a lot worse.
They are cooking. They are bathed in a layer of grime and sweat right now.
Yes,
and they're not showering it off.
Nope.
This is another part that's really gross.
They're gonna be rank.
Well, yes, they're gonna be rank, but it's gonna be really gross. So just bear with me here. Mute this if you don't want to hear something kind of nasty, basically. But with that layer of grime and sweat and what have you, all their orifices and their feet specifically are going to be basically
growing things.
Not just growing things, but they're going to basically it's because it's such a short amount of time. It's not going to be that bad.
Right, it's not like full athlete's foot.
But they could get athlete's foot. They could get stuff basically where if they're not cleaning themselves.
It's a good thing it's 6 days, right?
It's a good thing it's only 6 days. Yes.
Yeah. But even with all that being said, damn, they are going slow.
Yeah, so the idea that Nitta pushed them a little bit, and it made the difference to push them all the way up to the second to last place.
Well, and especially after the first night, when you see what a punishment is of just, this person is not able to rest for an hour. And that, at that point, start doing the extra each night just because then, you'll break even. And you'll also be getting there. You'll be doing the objective faster. That just makes sense.
Especially for the teams that don't know what the punishment is. They might not be as motivated until they get hit with the punishment. Which then ties into Vincent's whole stratagem of he used basically Cold War Russia and Cold War USA competing with each other in not just a military sense, but in a political sense, in that there's a lot of ego with regards to, oh, they already got a dog into space. Well, then we have to go and get something to the moon faster. And then it's oh, they got a man into space before as well. Then we have to go and get a man onto the moon, and stuff. And so
one of the other things that could also be interesting for the competition aspect is whether or not they're being told the rankings of everybody and the details of the rankings, or just you're at this ranking, you get the punishment or you don't. Because
they did say that the first place team was a certain amount ahead.
Right, but did they say that? Wasn't that just Vincent watching everything? That they
no, he said tell them that the first place team was 4 kilometers ahead.
But if the first place team, as an example, isn't being told of the rankings relative to them of everyone else, then they might just be all right, we're just doing our thing and we're staying consistent, but they won't have the, oh no, someone's catching up to us. We want to, protect our first place spot. But they probably wouldn't
get it until the end of each day, That's probably where they get that communication.
Yep.
Yeah. But because it wouldn't be efficient to tell them every hour.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely not.
Because also you wouldn't get that data necessarily. You'd have to have people it'd be just way too much chatter.
Oh, totally.
Having said that, this episode did basically end up being the travel episode where not too much happened other than that, though.
But hey, yeah, actual like dangers out in the wilderness, and now the leader's got a handgun.
Yeah.
All right.
To deal with rattlesnakes and coyotes.
Cool.
I do like that the rattlesnakes are brought up. I do take umbrage that anybody who's actually like been in rattlesnake country knows that you hear the rattlesnake when it's
way
like 100,
before.
like 50 yards at least before it even like is aware of you, because they not just do this basically as a, hey, we're warning you, go away, I'm here. But because it's going to be so quiet out here and stuff.
Oh yeah, there's nothing to. There aren't even like things to block the sound as far as like tall objects or whatever, right?
Right,
like,
right.
It's,
no,
that the sound will travel.
It would ring out.
Yeah.
Amongst the plains here, basically.
Especially with how dry everything is.
Right. The coyote thing, and I like that they brought this up, is that coyotes are very timid. For the most part, but they are pack creatures, so they could come in a group. And if your foodstuffs or what have you are basically on your packs, and your packs aren't literally next to you, like directly next to you, they'll totally like scamper up close and be like, okay, and then just start like biting at the thing to try and get into it.
I imagine that's why the packs that they have are canned food, and then like the MREs looked like they were in like aluminum or something like that, so that might protect against it a little bit.
Well, yeah, it would probably also be just to keep them from spoiling, or
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Because they've been sitting out here for days, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. One of the other things that could be interesting, now that we know that like the leader of each group has a gun and everything, you could have something where, because the actual distance between the groups is not a lot, you can have something where they're sleeping and then they just hear a gunshot go off in the middle of the night.
Yeah. It echoes across everything.
Right, because it's like, oh, someone had to deal with coyotes, and not even shoot the coyotes necessarily, just
to fire up in the air to scare them away. Or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It would be it'd be very interesting. I don't think they're going to go into gun safety stuff and things like that, but actually, you really want to be careful about shooting up into the sky with a gun, because a falling bullet will travel at such a crazy speed that if it actually lands on somebody, because of how high up it's going to go and the terminal velocity it's going to reach, you can really dramatically injure somebody with
I hadn't even thought about that.
Bullet coming back down.
Yeah, normally with the whole coyote thing, I just think it's the, okay,
just
they're over there. Fire at the ground near them or something. But yeah, that would have been, like, as far as showcasing American culture and all that stuff, that would have been great to have them be like, okay, so leader's going to have this gun. Here's how you all use this.
Here's the safety.
Keep that on unless you're
never
planning to
pointed
shoot.
at a person.
Never pointed at a person
ever.
Don't put your finger on the trigger unless you're ready to destroy the thing that it's pointed at. Right? Like things like that. Don't have your thumb on top of your hand, because then the slide, when it recoils, will slice your thumb. You know?
So many specific things. Here's how to stand properly.
Right.
Here's how to
brace it.
Here's how to brace it.
Don't fire a bunch of shots right after the other, because the recoil will, make funky things happen. Make sure you're not standing directly behind the person who's holding the gun in case the recoil's more than they expect.
Yeah, that's
not going to happen with a gun like that.
That's a gun like that.
No.
But yes, it is the kind of things that is important there.
Yeah.
And
it's not a Desert Eagle, but
yeah, but. All right. Okay. Nitta has to go back. Let's find out what that's about. So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all of this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general. Also, be sure to check out our Twitch channel. So, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.